everybody can see the slides and hear okay. If you're not speaking, please make sure you place yourself on mute because it helps to reduce background noise. Also, you see here the roll call form up at the top of the chat. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you take the time to click the link. If you are a voting agency, you would do roll call. If you're not a voting agency and you want to become a member, you can contact us at coc@rivco.org, the same email that you see that goes out to the community. There's a letter that we have that is signed by the head of your agency, and then you can be designated to become, a part of the continuum of care. And then if you attend 3 consecutive meetings, you can become a voting member. So with that, I would like to say welcome to everybody. It's July 23rd. We're super excited to have you join with us today as we're all working together as one big, huge public-private family to create systems change and transform lives. Already covered the roll call, so if we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Miss Dawn Lee, are you on with us before I introduce you?
I am.
Okay, perfect. So those of you out there that are regularly participating in our Continuum of Care meetings, you know that the Leadership Spotlight is one of my favorite things to do as the chair of the Continuum of Care. I'm super honored and pleased to have Dawn Lee with us today from TDA Consulting. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read her bio. But before I jump into her bio, I want you to know that I've known Dawn for many years. We used to work together in the Continuum of Care in Orange County. How many years has it been, Dawn?
I think we were like 15, so that was like 10 years ago. No, long time.
Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about Dawn. She's going to give us a presentation today. She has 20 years of experience providing system and or operational level capacity building, technical assistance to stakeholders within the homeless and affordable housing sectors. Dawn is knowledgeable in resource development and coordination of regional, organizational, neighborhood plans to address homelessness and affordable housing issues. As a member of TDA's Consulting Homeless Technical Assistance Team, Dawn provides technical support to nonprofit organizations, public jurisdictions, as they operate in homeless assistance and housing programs within the Continuum of Care. Her direct experience with the Continuum of Care system has benefited communities across the country to optimize their ability to govern, plan, and execute their homeless reduction and housing stabilization strategies. And there's many more other things I could tell you about her. Apparently, she was the CEO of Neighborhood Works America affiliate, tasked with expanding and preserving homeownership throughout Riverside and San Bernardino counties. So close to us. And in this role, she provided leadership in the development and execution of first-time home buyer down payment assistance, home repair, foreclosure prevention, and ACT rehab or resale programs. She has a huge amount of experience and also does formal TA consulting for HUD. We're super lucky to have her with us today, and the timing for her to present was perfect. Tanya and myself and the team had been discussing opportunities for us to strengthen ourselves as a region, first from a provider perspective, because all of us together make the whole, and either we succeed together or we fail together, right? We are judged according to our overall system's performance. So with that, Dawn, we'd love to hear your presentation, so take it away.
All right, thank you, ma'am. First, I have to say, when you got on, Karen, and I heard your laugh, I just remember your laugh. So glad to have an opportunity to reconnect with you all. Thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate this opportunity to kind of share what I do and the resource that we are here for you. As Karen mentioned, I'm only 12, I'm 30, I just turned 35. But for 30 years, I was a Southern California resident. 20 of those years, I lived in San Bernardino County. And I spent most of my time in the space of nonprofit community development. As she mentioned, I ran NHSIE, if you all are familiar with that. We helped thousands of people purchase their first time homes. And then as well, I'd come previously from the homeless sector, which is where I met Karen. At the same time, I've been involved with TDA consulting on a part-time basis, supporting communities like Riverside. I am no longer in Southern California. I moved to Tampa about 5 years ago because I really was looking for hot, humid weather, and I just have this thing about hurricanes. So I decided to come down here. But I'm still invested on a daily basis in the work in Southern California. Next slide, you can actually go to, yeah, so that slide. You can go to the next slide after that, please. So I think it's back.
Did we lose you, Dawn?
Her mute
Somehow
button.
you went on mute.
Was I on mute the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, I am so sorry. I was doing my intro and I was just saying, and if you can go back, the second slide is the one that says HUD SNAP's regional team strategy. I was just sharing, Karen, that it was great hearing your voice. I remember your laugh, so it's bringing back happy memories. And I was just sharing a little bit about, I lived in San Bernardino County for 20 years and worked in the area for 30 years. I was the CEO of NHSIE. And at the same time, I was on staff for this entire time with TDA consulting, doing community development work. So about 5 years ago, I moved to Tampa because I like hot weather and I like humidity, and apparently I like hurricanes. But I'm still on a daily basis invested in the Inland Empire. So on this slide, just to tell you a little bit about the regional strategy, which is what I can offer you, making sure you all know what's available there. HUD invests billions of dollars each year supporting housing community development agencies and efforts across the country. And they put us in place as a liaison to each of the communities to make sure you all have everything you need to be as effective and efficient as you can as you're executing your strategies. So there are about 14 firms that are tasked with amplifying HUD's priorities over the 500 continuums across the country. I think there are about 50 of us that are TA professionals, and we come with some sort of subject matter expertise. Either we worked locally in a community, like I did in Orange County with Karen, or we're people who've had lived experience. And so we're tasked to communities to basically be your buddy. HUD wants us in place so we can help you. So it's not, I say this to all my communities, Vegas rules apply. You can ask Tanya, I say that all the time. Vegas rules apply. So whatever you all want to tell me, if you don't want it to be amplified to HUD, it doesn't get there. And HUD knows that. They want you to come to us to help you work out solutions to things. And our role is pretty much to maintain communication channels between you up and down COCs, ESG recipients, to provide TA support is needed to address issues you have, and to elevate any experiences that you have locally on the ground to inform HUD as they make programmatic, regional, national strategies, and as they look at funding. So I'm part, and you all are part of what's called Region 9, and that map shows Region 9 is in the green. And so I have 7 colleagues that we do this across the country. I have 8 COCs up and down the state of California. And one of the things, the benefits of this is I do a lot of connecting my community, so I can tell you guys, hey, San Juan King County has a similar issue, a similar person. Let's connect you guys. Next slide, please. So one of the things I think that's most important is our goal is to make sure that you all are a strong COC. We're not all subject matter experts, but we know people. So we can help you, like I said, connecting. And HUD has gone through significant downsizing recently. They've lost over 40% of their field staff. So it's ever more critical that you all have resources that you can go to help navigate and make sure you have things that you need. One of the things that HUD does well, it does well in this area, the SNAPs, is offer a broad range of training and support. And they're happy, they want you to connect with other places. So there was the U.S. Interagency Council. Some of these agencies have gone away or scaled down, but there's still resources in addition to us, in addition to what's available on HUB's website. Ideas like NHSDC, which is the data consortium, and also National Alliance to End Homelessness are source of information. So in addition to that, and working with us, and getting other resources from other communities, we encourage you to do that. So one of the things that we want all COCs to do is to be strong. On this sheet, we kind of talk about broadly collaboration, those kind of things, data-driven decision. But to get there is the things in the right column. So those are some of the things that we really work with communities to do. HUD is, the COC structure is here to formalize, the community-wide commitment to ending homelessness, to help you all connect with mainstream resources, and to facilitate funding mechanisms to do your work. But your local job as a community is to operationalize that. I think out of all the things on the left side, the right side, strong leadership to me is the most important. The board, the membership, understanding their roles and responsibility, a collaborative applicant, your CES provider, HMIS, upholding HUD mandates, being inclusive, strategic, willingness to try promising new strategies, having good data, maintaining accountability, making sure staff is trained throughout the COC is all, I think, part of those things to make sure you have a strong continuum. An example about being flexibility is this new NOPO that people have written me about, like, what the heck is this about? But I think that shows that to be our best, we need to learn to roll with the punches, be flexible, and figure out every opportunity that comes in front of you, how you can take advantage of it to the best of your community's needs. So on this list, on this sheet down at the bottom, and I'm going to give you a resource guide, but this is the there's a COC virtual binders. It's a hyperlink there, but I really encourage everyone to take that. That really talks about what a COC is and the responsibility of it. In addition, there are community workshops that I send you all opportunities on. I've done that, and you all have signed up for a couple of those workshops. There are HUD office hour trainings. That's a good source of information to see how other communities are doing things. Again, reiterating, make sure that you get new staff exposed to training so that they can do their jobs well. And again, these links will be on the page that I have of resources. Next slide, please. So part of being a strong continuum is financial management. I mentioned that HUD has constricted a bit. And so a lot of the onus on financial management oversight, it's pushed down to your community, right? So your board, your collaborative applicant, part of your monitoring processes, agencies need to know what they have to do. We want to make sure that there's effective training, that you are executing your financial responsibilities correctly, that there's monitoring and remediation processes in place. I'm not going to read this slide, but I'll give you a second just to skim again, and you'll have this PowerPoint, I'll assume. But these are just some key things that you need to make sure that you all are taking care of. And then you can go to the next slide. Again, so these are some key concepts that all financial management should include. They all come from the 200 CFR regulation, financial management for federal grants. These are all things you need to have. And I have listed a hyperlink there, again, to another training suite that HUD has developed, and it's available on HUD Exchange. It's a self-guided training that we encourage everybody to take, all members of staff to train who are should be responsible for this kind of work. And then I think in terms of training in general, with both financial management and COC, start with the readily available training first. There's a lot of stuff on HUD Exchange. There are a lot of stuff from other providers out there. Google, now we got the internet, we can do that. On HUD Exchange, you can find free training. There's video training. There's the Ask a Question facility where you can put in your specifics. So one thing to remember, I remember this when I was in Orange County with Karen, you talk to your HUD rep and they tell you something, but it's not in writing. If it's not in writing, it did not happen. I learned this long ago. Ask a question is the way to get your answer in writing, and that's the Bible you can go to if somebody comes back to you later. In addition, there are FAQ responses out there. As a region, we offer trainings we have in the past. We'll start again, and you guys will get invitations. So, Tanya, if you want to amplify those out to people as we have those are great. Me as your point of contact can help guide you through other. I send out emails. You can email me to help guide you through anything specific you want. Submitting TA requests, and then if you have a very special need, you can create as a community an RFP and put it out. There are lots of providers out there who can respond and give you exactly tailored what you want. The last thing I want to talk about, because I know I'm a minute over because I was talking and you guys didn't hear me. The last slide, slide talks about disaster recovery. And, things are not getting, next slide, please. Things are not getting easier in terms of disasters. We're seeing them more frequently. And I think homeless families are the people who experience this more. And HUD has a team, SNAP's Disaster Technical Assistance Team, there to help. And Tanya knows and has gotten emails from them. You all just had, is it the Wolf Fire? And they sent out a list of resources that are on my list as well. But we are here to do whatever you need. If you want specific resources or training about connecting folks with FEMA benefits or how to work with the Red Cross, or if you want to talk to other communities who have had similar experiences, we can help you with that. Next slide, please. And so I know that, Tanya's kind of shared about what you all are doing, being prepared, and she was really complimentary of the work that you all have been doing. So here's some additional bright ideas that I was thinking about that may help you. And just really quickly, I want to make sure that everybody in advance, at the time of the disaster is not the time to think about how we're going to do this, right? So make sure people know their roles and responsibilities. You might consider implementing preparation requirements. A preparation requirement, for example, is something like if you mandate that all shelters must have 3 days worth of food, non-perishable food and water and batteries on site. Training should be part of the process. 3 types of training. Onboarding for new hires so that they know what to do in case of a disaster. An annual refresher for everybody. And then a drill. Remember when we were in grade school, we used to have those fire drills, and was it the fire drill we got under the chair for? That wouldn't make sense, but we got under the chair for some kind of drill. So something like that. Make sure you've highlighted who the central point of contact is. And this is for coordination purposes. It doesn't discount any other relationships you have in place. It's just to make sure everybody knows who to go to. And one thing I think I've learned from running organizations is really important is having an organizational disaster plan. That could be called an emergency response plan or business continuity plan. They're slightly different, but make sure you have that communication protocol in place. And on the resource list, you'll see I'll mention Pinellas County, that's down here near me in the Tampa area. And I pointed you to their COC websites because they have some good stuff on there that you can use. And the last slide, please. And this is just my contact information. I am here. Feel free to email me with anything you need. And then I will put the resources document in the chat. And one of the resources is called homelessnesssolutions.net. It's a compilation of resources. And you may have known that a number of things have been pulled off HUD's website in the past couple months. And some of the stuff has gone away, but it had been on federal websites. Well, some group has pulled a lot of that stuff that was lost off, and it's on that homelessness solutions.net site. It's over 3,400 resources that you can use. And that is it. And I apologize because I think I might be a minute or two over, but thank you. And I'll put in the chat this other document. And I think you guys are going to hand it out anyway, but the resource notes, I'll put it there. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. So a couple of things. Dawn's presentation is part of the slides that are in the Google Docs that you all have access to. And I was going to open it up for comments and questions. And I do see Ms. Tanya. You go ahead. You have the floor.
Dawn, I just wanted to thank you for joining us. You were literally one of the first persons, if not the first person, that reached out to me when I first took on the role that I have now in leading the continuum of care. And I can't tell you how much I needed it and continue to need, regular guidance and just someone that I can check in with regularly to make sure that we're on the right track
What you looking for, beautiful?
Especially even more so during times of emergencies. As you mentioned, they are becoming much more um, uh, just regular occurrences
Yep.
in our lives. And so to our entire group of providers on the line, I just want to thank you for remaining with us, and also kind of use this as an opportunity to share that we have a dedicated team member now, Valeria, who is on this call and has been with our team for over a year, and is working to write out emergency response policies and procedures
Great.
for our COC. And these are things that we've developed over time. And as soon as we have them ready, we'll be coming back to the COC to share for your input and feedback. So
Great. That'd be great.
just wanted to acknowledge that, Dawn, which again has been influenced by you, but also recognize our COC members, providers who really make that process come to life when it is most needed.
Well, good, great. Thank you, Tanya. You've been a great partner. And, you guys, I know the lay of the land. I've been in your office, so I know where things are. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And even if you think it's something that, you just can't find that resource, please call. I have been trying to put that resource page in the chat, and it's not letting me. So if you guys, it was in the email that I sent you. If you can post that for everybody, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Thank you.
So before we move on to the next agenda, Dawn, again, thank you. So words of wisdom to the whole continuum of care as we're in, in this space, we go from times of feast and famine and
Yep.
everything in between. And we need to, one of my favorite sayings is blessed are the flexible, so that, we can be ready to respond to any situation. So knowing that we may be going into a season where there's less funds at the federal and state and local level, what words of wisdom do you have for everybody today?
I think everything has every cloud has a silver lining or something like that. I think that be flexible, look for the opportunity. If there's something that's, wait, this isn't how we normally do it, think about how you can. Absolutely bring people together. I cannot recommend enough to make sure that you have diverse thoughts, experiences, brains to help brainstorm solutions. Know that money may be going away, right? Prioritize what is the most critical, and make do. This too shall pass, and a lot of stuff may be good coming up right now, and make you look at what's most important. So don't get frazzled, and look to other communities. A lot of people have the same issues. I remember, Karen may remember, we got together with Joe Coletti years and years ago after we did a no, they used to be called no fuzz then, and we started putting all the COCs together in Southern California. Found out we could just feed off each other. So I can help connect you with other COCs. And anytime you need documents or something, ask me about it. But be flexible, roll with the punches, prioritize.
Thank you so much from joining us all the way from Florida. Have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Yes.
And we're going to go ahead then and move on to the next agenda item.
Thanks, guys.
We have our Greg Rodriguez with us today, and he is joining us from Atlanta. How's the weather there, Greg?
Hot and humid. So
hot and humid. Oh, I have to wear a suit and go to meetings when it's hot and humid. Well, we're excited to have you, and we understand you have a few different things for us today. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, and again, I want to thank you for moving me up on the agenda since it is 6:25 here. But I wanted to, first of all, talk about, we have already presented to the Continuum of Care on what was originally called the Integrated Service Delivery Initiative that the county underwent 5 years ago, believe it or not already, right as COVID started, with the concept of how are we going to system change the county and have agencies, departments, and also our nonprofit and CBOs provide an overall continuum of care for the residents of Riverside County. There's going to be a lot of slides in this, so I'm going to go through some of them relatively quickly, but there will be at the end some action items that the continuum of care will need to take in order to advance the great work that this process is going. So from what was integrated service delivery before has become, as you can see on the screen, RIVCO 1, connecting people and improving lives. So if we can advance to the next slide. Would really do want to highlight what the mission of this is, and it's Riverside County wants to offer its residents a true integrated service experience that will allow individuals to receive comprehensive whole person support more efficiently than ever before. Our mission is that RIVCO 1 is an innovative, person-centered approach to service in Riverside County that embraces a culture of caring and collaboration to enrich the complete holistic needs of our individual residents and their families and communities. What we've seen throughout the history of Riverside County is a lot of silos, and different departments operate in different visions. And this is no criticism because they all operate in a way to serve the residents of Riverside County. However, we have not done this in a coordinated approach. And I think the best example of this is that when we formed Housing and Workforce Solutions Department 5 years ago, was we wanted to coordinate the activities of housing, homelessness, workforce, and community action partnership, and our community development divisions all into one to do a holistic approach. So we can go to the next slide. Just a message from our CEO, Jeff Van Wagenen. I'm not going to read it, but I just want to emphasize that not only the CEO has made this a top priority for the county, but the Board of Supervisors has actually passed a resolution that RIVCO 1 is the way for us moving forward in a more coordinated approach. We can go to the next slide, please. I'm going to go through 4 different elements really quickly of what RIVCO 1 is all about. The first, of course, is full integration and enhanced collaboration. Again, this gets back to the fact that many of our departments were operating in silos, and we really needed to look at a way how we could unite those departments. And I'm going to get into a database conversation a little bit later on how that will make this work better. But really the whole key about this is that having departments cross-sector, communicate with each other, develop multidisciplinary teams. And I think there's no better example than what we've already done within Housing and Workforce Solutions Department about the MDTs that we do. And again, a lot of this comes down to the data sharing. If we can go to the next slide. Convenient, comprehensive access. So this integrated service delivery, or RIVCO 1, really started the first process within our Jurupa Valley Clinic, and which is our community health center. And it really was about how do we, when we experience a client that comes in with, say, a physical health problem, and I'll get into the whole person health score in just a second, but how do we analyze what other issues do they need to address? And you can see that we do a universal registration form. We do a whole person health score, and I'm going to get into that in a little more detail in just a second. But through that whole person health scores, we identify other needs that the client and resident may have. And then how do we refer them immediately to services within the county that we have so that they don't have to go looking for this? I think the best way to frame this is that there's no wrong door within the county. And that when you enter, whether a community health center clinic, housing authority, community action partnership, workforce development, even animal services, is that when you enter that door is how can the county help you address all the needs that you have. Go to the next slide. This one I'll go relatively quickly. This is just about empowering employees as change agents. And again, this goes back to this is really a systems change for the county. And we are one of the leading counties in the country undergoing this effort. We're adopting what many of you may know as lean principles, which is really how do you reduce waste? How do you amplify current practices and refine current practices to eliminate waste, to really address the needs of the residents of Riverside County. We're undergoing a really big effort right now on a HR, sorry for acronyms, human relations, as well as a communications aspect on how we really develop this to make sure that county employees are encompassing this work on their daily basis. Next slide, please. And again, I highlighted this before, but this really is coming from getting away from a program-centered approach to a person-centered approach. So how are we looking that when we identify a client, especially in the world that we have in homelessness and housing, to not just tie them to a program, but really looking at the holistic approach of the person. We know that the top 3 ways that people fall into homelessness is economic issues, family separation, and loss of employment. And so what are the other ways that we can look at the entire family, the entire aspect of that client that we're looking at to make sure that we're looking and addressing them in a person-centered approach? Next slide. This only gets back to the fact I mentioned earlier that the CEO, Jeff, made this a top priority, but the board has made this a top priority and passed a resolution. So we can go on to the next slide on this. How will we know we have succeeded? Because we all know that metrics, and we deal with this on a daily basis. But how this really came about 6 years ago when we did an initial visioning session. Many of you may know that there's a index called the Healthy Places Index, and it really rates the vibrancy or health of a community. And what the goal is through RIVCO 1 is to increase our Healthy Places Index by 30 points in 30 years. We're roughly right now at 35, 36. We would like to be by 2050 at a 70th percentile, excuse me. That sounds like a long goal, but every incremental step that you go in the Healthy Places Index is significant when it comes to the health of the community. Next slide, please. I'm going to go and do a little bit more about specifically what as you can see, is integrated service delivery. I will let the RIVCO 1 team know that they need to change the title of this. But these are basically the 4 components and strategies that we're looking at. So we have a system of governments, which is how within the county do we look at where leadership is at the executive office level, where leadership is at the department level, where leadership is at the managerial, supervisory level, and then also leadership within line staff. The second component, client-centered service delivery, I've talked about that, about the holistic care. Integrated data systems. Within the county, I can't even tell you the number of data systems that we have that are mandated. Many of you know on this call, we have HMIS and CES. There's SAW system within workforce, other data management systems that do not know how to talk to each other. And so when clients are interacting with services within the county, they're placed in different database and systems. And so what we're looking through this initiative is to how do we have these systems talk to each other so that clients don't have to enter same information, or that if I go into DPSS, I'm giving the same information that I already gave to HMIS or through Adult Protective Services. And that's a whole other component I'm going to get into in just in a second. And then community partnership. And most of you on this call know that we as HWS do not deliver direct services. We rely on you and build partnerships with you, whether that's cities, like Karen has done an amazing job at, whether it's providers, whether it's CBOs, is that we cannot do this work and actually create a holistic approach to client-centered service delivery without those community partnerships. Next slide, please. This is a big slide, but this basically tells you the end-to-end system that we have through Rivka One. So as you can see, we proactively engage residents. I'll deal with this on a homeless example. So say, for instance, somebody walks into Path of Life Ministries. We engage that individual. We do the intake form through the whole person health score, and through intake, they complete the pre-visit prep. The resident completes, again, the universal registration, the whole person health score, and we'll get a little more detail in just a second on this. Program staff reviews the algorithm that comes out of this system, and then that enables them to refer them to other services. And then the program staff basically closes the referral loop, so we're making sure that we're tying them to the right resources, and in the end that they are tied to the resources that they need to become more successful. Next slide, please. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly because we have, through the COC, explained to you the whole person health score. The whole person health score assessment was designed by Dr. Jeffrey Leung from the county. It's been regarded in medical journals and through Harvard University as an amazing example of how we take a different approach in looking at the aspects of how we care for the residents of the county. It's based on a 6-letter score. It's primarily all around social determinants of health. We code both in numbers, but also in letters. And as you can see on the slide here, we code that in a color coding. So green would be that everything is basically okay. Yellow is stuff we may need to monitor, and the red is stuff that we really need to address right away. By doing this, we look at how we really approach a holistic, approach. Again, if we can go to the next slide. And it pretty much went through all this, is that we identify the needs of the referral opportunities. We use a universal language in this. Again, this is engagement. And again, through the multidisciplinary actions within the departments, we're able to refer clients to proper services. Next slide, please. This I'm just going to have you look at because it's really explains the 6 different domains of physical health, emotional health, resource utilization, which means how much does a resident utilize their own services outside of looking for county services, socioeconomics, which is housing, ownership, again, how can we engage residents into helping to create their own ability to obtain services, and then nutrition and lifestyle. The thing I like to point out best on this is, like, if you look at the acronym person, it really is, again, addressing the holistic approach of how we're trying to do this as a county. Next slide, please. This, again, is just looking at some of the specifics. We can go back to the back slide. Yeah, and I'll do this really quickly, but again, just when we do the whole person health score, it identifies some of the top issues that this person may deal with. And so then we can look at, say, ER hospital visits. How do we look at maybe tying that person to one of our community health centers, the 13 we have within the county? Anxiety, how do we tie that person to behavioral health? Socioeconomics is not listed in here, but again, if housing was circled within this, how do we address this, and how do we address connect them to Home Connect and other sources to the providers that are on this call? Next slide, please. This just shows you the partners within the county. So again, this is just a holistic approach. I really want to emphasize too, and highlight that outside of RUHS, our medical system providers, Office on Aging, First 5, behavioral health, Housing and Workforce Solutions has been a major agency that has been leading this effort from the very beginning, because we know that we deal with the most vulnerable people within the community. And if we can go to the next slide, I'm going to go through these next couple ones relatively quick. We had a goal to have basically our RIVCO 1 integrated service delivery whole person health score operations within 30 sites in 3 years. We've surpassed that already, 32 sites in really less than 3 years. So next slide, please. This just gives you, the next couple slides are just going to give you kind of an organizational look at what RIVCO 1 is all about. Again, I talked about the communications plan. Within this, we have established a training playbook for our agencies so that agencies know how to refer to each other. We've developed contacts within each agency. Many agencies didn't even know who to talk to, and that's already improved. And again, I'll get back to the lean continuous improvement about this, about how we make this operationally within the system, within county government, to make sure that we're developing the best services that we can for our residents. Next slide, please. This one I'll pretty much skip because it's just highlighting what we did on the previous slide on the lean continuous improvement, communication plans, and training playbook. So next slide. This shows you the government component, and this has been, to be honest, a challenge over the last 2 years as we implemented RIVCO 1 is, who's in charge of what, how do we feed things up? And so what we've come up with is a really, really good structural component, and I'll refer more to the right side of the screen is that you can see we flip this in most aspects. You have an upward triangle. But as you see, is the Board of Supervisors and the Executive Office have made this a priority. The Policy Council basically is representatives from the Executive Council that meet monthly and deal with issues that are referred up from the bottom. The Strategy Council is basically the employees and staff and leadership, of the Office of Service Integration, or RIVCO 1. They act a lot on what the Operations Council. So the Operations Council, which I'm a member of, has representatives from each department within the Health and Human Services, as well as probation and emergency management, that meet on a weekly basis to discuss not only how we're advancing RIVCO 1 throughout our departments, but addressing any concerns or issues that may happen, and again, those feed up. And then you have the continuous improvement committees that are basically a lot of the individuals on the ground. What we really wanted to make sure through RIVCO 1 is that staff that are implementing this have input. And that's what lean principles are all about. We want people on the ground that are meeting with our clients and our residents on a daily basis to, when they experience issues or problems, to try and solve them at that issue, at that level. And if they can't, then how can they elevate? And so that's what this structure helps us to do. Next slide, please. This one again just shows you who's on what committee and what things, so we can skip this slide. And then again, through the RIVCO 1, and again, this is through the lean process. We go through numerous what we call rapid improvement events or value stream steering teams. And this just gives you a list of all the ones that we have started so far. I will tell you that this list of about 20 individual RIEs or VSSTs, within that, there's probably 6 to 7 to 8 to 10 other RIEs and VSSTs within this. So the county really, over the last 4 years specifically, and primarily the last 3, has really developed a means of identifying where the issues arise, how we need to approach them, how we implement and incorporate the whole person health score, and more importantly, how are we linking residents to services? Next slide, please. So this is where I'm going to get a little more focused on why I'm speaking to you as the continuum of care today. Um, One of the biggest components of making this successful is having an integrated data system. I talked earlier about how our data systems across county agencies can't talk to each other. This frustrates our residents because if I go into DPSS and I have to give my information, then I have to go to Housing Authority and give the same information, or I go to WIC, or I go to First Five. So the real key system here is how do we make sure that our data systems are talking? A lot of this is going to be through AI, as you're probably aware of. And you can see the bullet points right now is that we, as a county, have already employed the services of Amazon Web Services and a subcontractor Slalom to create a data lake amongst county agencies that can allow us to share and interact with each other. I really want to point out that, especially one who has been involved with this, and I don't know if Salam's on the call, but she can attest, or Gordon can attest, and even Tanya and Emmett can attest, is that we realize that if these data systems can talk to each other, we actually have a better opportunity for less duplication, for residents not to feel uncomfortable or frustrated about having to provide the same information. We are also developing a customer portal function that will actually allow residents themselves to not only take the whole person health score, but to be able to review referrals, to follow up on appointments. It'll have real-time pings that you have an appointment, whether it's to behavioral health or one of our community health centers. Again, looking at how we really advance technology and integrating the services within our data systems. All county human service agencies are participating in this effort. I will be completely honest with you. There's been many legal issues and challenges on HIPAA compliance, or health information, and how we make sure we're protecting clients' information. But we've worked through those issues throughout about the last year and a half. Go to the next slide, please. So we will be bringing to you probably in August. We have been asked for our homeless management information system inclusion in RIVCO One Connect, as other agencies within the county are being asked to do. In order for us to participate in the RIVCO One Connect data system, we have to provide access to more services for the clients and offer more HMIS information, which requires a couple changes in processes that the COC will need to approve, again, probably at an August meeting. I want to make it perfectly clear that the Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, does allow for HMIS data sharing, especially when you're looking at multidisciplinary team approaches or coordinated care. But we need to clarify that allowance within our HMIS governance charter and privacy standards. Tanya and her team, as well as County Council, are working right now on developing that language to make sure that we not only meet HUD requirements, but more importantly, that we're making sure we're developing a data sharing system that doesn't divulge complete information on client care, but allows us to provide a greater coordinated care for those clients. Also want to highlight too that clients will have the ability, as they already do when we do our intake and privacy processes now, to opt in when they do their intake forms, or opt out at a later time. Go to the next page, and this is the last page, and this is just basically RIVCO One resources. I know this has been a lot of information, and again, I know we've highlighted what integrated service delivery was coming to the county. I think we should really be proud as a county, but more importantly, even as our CBOs and partners on this call, of the really revolutionary, to be honest with you, effort that this county is making in really developing a coordinated care system, especially in the clients that we serve. And this couldn't be more important at this time when we see budget cuts at the federal level, when we know that the one-time funding we've had from ARPA and CARES Act dollars that this county has been a leader in allocating, that we're looking at a systems change mode to make sure that we're not leaving the most vulnerable people left on the streets, for lack of a better word. I know that was a lot. Happy to take questions. And I'll leave it to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Well, before we open it up, a couple of thoughts. First of all, thank you, Greg. That, for those of you that may not be inside of government, I want you to know the magnitude of how important this is, because government agencies inside of counties and cities oftentimes have difficulty sharing data because of many different complex federal, state, and local regulations. So this is huge to see Riverside County leading in this effort. So I just want to applaud everybody that's involved in this. It's a lot of work. Thank you, Greg. The other thing I wanted to remind all of you, something that came to my mind, that person slide is designed to give a picture of how the clients can be benefited. But I'll tell you, I was reflecting on some of the things we need to look at for our own selves for self-care, because people in this space, we work so many hours and are working so hard to serve others. So I just want to encourage you all on the physical health, the emotional health, nutrition, lifestyle. And so that is a really powerful slide, Greg. Very impressed by it. So does anybody have any questions of Greg regarding this? And we're going to look forward to doing what we can to support it as a continuum when a formal action is brought to us. Any questions or comments?
And actually, Karen, if I could add on that, because I'm glad you brought up the person slide, and what we're seeing too is like in the implementation of this, especially within the community health centers, CAP, Community Action Partnership, workforce, WIC, is that we may have the one person come in and do that whole person health score, but then when we have the worker talking about the results of that, we're finding other issues within the family. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole key, is that it's not just the one person, but it's about, oh, we're finding out issues about your children, or we're finding issues about your parent who needs Office on Aging services, or someone who's incarcerated that may be exiting soon. So that's what the beauty of this whole thing is that it's not just doing the assessment and finding the individual issues within that person, but through the conversations that our community health workers and our case managers are having when we do the results, is we're able to actually address more familial issues. And in the end, that reduced costs to the county, and more importantly, improves the lives of the residents that we're trying to serve.
Awesome. Any comments, questions? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Good job. I think you're up on deck again, if I'm not mistaken, Greg.
I think I am. So I'll go to bad news now. And not all bad news, but again, Karen, thank you again for allowing me to address the issues up front. I just really quickly wanted to go through some legislative updates. A lot of you are aware of this, but first of all, the state budget was not as bad as we thought it was going to be, at least for housing. There's some programs that were cut a little bit. But we did retain the $500 million for the low-income housing tax credit program. That actually, and what we've seen through the federal actions over the last week in the hearings, those seem to be remaining in place too. So that's a really good news for affordable housing development. As you know, Riverside County has been a leader. I don't know if Juan's on the call, but thanks to his team for the amazing work we've done in increasing the number of units. You can see there's $120 million for the multifamily housing program that was preserved, $300 million for the California Dream All program. Again, this is down payment assistance, what the county really works hard on to help people within Riverside County. The one thing, there was a HHAP allocation, Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, $500 million. It used to be $1 billion, so we're a little disappointed that it's been cut in half. The one caveat to this is that it is not allocated until fiscal year 26-27, which, and Tanya, nod your head if you agree, and we've had this conversation, which for us is okay because we haven't even got our 2026 allocation. For other jurisdictions, though, it is a challenge because of continuity. I will say that I'm working with a state advocacy organization called Bring California Home in conjunction with CSAC, California Association of Counties, as well as the League of Cities, on getting some trailer bill language changed to hopefully speed up the process, and basically looking at how we can utilize our 2026 application for the 2027 allocation, and basically would just be updating our action plan, so speeding up the process for allocations. There was one concerning issue within the legislation about jurisdictions needing to have a pro-housing designation, which we're all for as a county, but it is a laborious process to get a pro-housing designation. So again, this group is looking at how we look at the trailer bill language to advocate for that language to say at least you're working towards a pro-housing delegation.
Craig, can I ask, are these all zero based or any built into the budget permanently?
No, it's all one time.
Okay.
It's as you know, Karen, we've had to do every single year.
Okay.
We're still advocating for ongoing funding. Assemblyman Corey Jackson from our area, had a proposed constitutional amendment that's not on the docket right now, but I think we still need to continue that dialogue on that as well. There is good news that the $10 billion housing bond is moving forward. So we're looking, and we're talking with our not only the board, but the executive office and our government affairs about signing on to propose for that as well. So at least we do have HAP dollars coming. And again, applauds to Tanya and her team and Emma and Rashana for the way that we've managed our HAP dollars, that we're confident that we can keep the continuity, excuse me, of the services that we have. If we can go to the next slide, please. And this is just a couple more state budget items: 83 million one-time allocation for Bring Families Home program, 81 million for the Home Safe program, and then $45 million one-time increase, which actually is really good, for the Housing Disability program. That's an annual $25 million allocation that will remain, so that is ongoing. But this was a good allocation, at least for a one-time increase. All right, and the next slide, I'll go relatively quickly through this. Probably most of you follow the federal budget. I will not call it the big, beautiful bill. I'm sorry. It will get political. But I just want to list a couple of things on public and Indian housing, of course, which is relevant to Riverside County. It's maintaining housing support for the 2 million households that we've had, upholding the tribal trust obligations, and then the 7.3+ billion for public housing fund. Next slide, please. Community and planning development, relatively current to the funding that we've had. I won't go through all of these, but you can read on the slide. And again, these slides are accessed through the shared file. The biggest disappointment was the no funds for the Home Investment Partnerships program, which we've utilized as a county as well. So, and then we'll go to the last slide. Project-based housing programs, which has been our most concern. Basically level funding for project-based rental assistance at it was a $237 million increase above FY25 enacted levels, but as most people know on this call, it's not going to cover the cost of rental increases, but it does provide renewal of at least the contract serving 1.2 billion households. Again, $950 million for housing for the elderly, which provides a full renewal of the housing contracts serving the 120,000 households. Again, there's concerns about rental increases and whether we meet those issues. And then a 261.8 million for housing for persons with disabilities. This was a $5.1 million increase above FY25 enacted level. I just want to give a big shout out to Cindy Huey and our housing authority, who again, top performance again. Her team, I don't know how they do it, manages on to not only address current funding, but how we maintain the level of service that we're doing. There still will be probably markups. There was the April 14th, or not April, sorry, July 14th, subcommittee on the markups, which basically came up with these dollar amounts. It still will go to the full appropriations committee. We may see changes in the Senate, so we'll still continue to monitor this. I like to be an optimist, and housing issues are not just a blue state issue. In fact, more housing problems and project-based vouchers and Section 8 vouchers are a red state issue. And so we're hoping that at least we maintain level funding. I will say, there was talk about elimination of the continuum of care and in doing block grants to the states. From what we're hearing, that will not be the case. So we'll be able to maintain that. So again, I know that was a lot. Happy to take questions. And again, Karen, I appreciate you advancing me up to the top of the agenda. So.
Thank you. So questions, comments? I think, so I guess on reflection, Greg, we were bracing for impact, right? And maybe the impact isn't so bad, right? I mean, if you look at the grander scheme of things, I'm like super bummed about home. I don't even know what to say about that. But I mean, overall, compared to what we were bracing for, it could have been a lot worse.
A lot worse. And although I will say is that, and I know I'm going to preach to the choir here, is that we still were not getting enough money anyway.
Yeah.
But at least it doesn't seem like we've lost. And what I will say is that, again, great credit to every single division within HWS is that we've been anticipating and analyzing, and I give a good credit to our executive office at the county, is they approached us, oh God, what, Tanya, 2 months ago about, what impacts would state budgets or federal budgets have upon the departments, and we analyzed those. So, again, knock on wood, we're okay. Our team, though, still looks at other opportunities through health plan contributions, although that's a whole nother issue with Medicaid cuts. But other grant opportunities that we can do. And, we were, recognized, Tanya just saw the email about an hour and a half ago, recognized by the governor for the work that we've done as Riverside County. I say a lot, and we all preach a lot about how well we're doing. And again, Karen, again, through your leadership in the COC, but we're showing we're making an impact. And when we can show that, though, that's when we can go to other funders. And I've said this before, is I really think we need to approach more, how do we look at some other private funding, foundations and other support? Because we can show the success that we've done, and that we showed through the dedicated dollars that we dedicated through ARPA and CARES and the HIP, and I can go on and on, ESGCV, is that we know we can make a difference. And I think we have the data. I know we have the data. And so how can we be creative without any federal increases to make sure we're be able to maintain the services that we're being able to do?
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Greg? So Greg, I know it's getting late there in Atlanta. Thank you for taking the time to join us as you're up there doing the good work representing Riverside County. We appreciate all that you do.
Yeah, and I will just say I'm actually here at the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, and a lot of the talk has been housing, Medicaid, accessibility. So it really is pertinent. It's probably one of the best conferences I've been to, actually. But what's nice is that you can see that there's there's also the National Association of Asian Pacific Islanders too, and that's a lot on their agendas too at the same hotel. So this is a national conversation that's happening right now, and what I'm seeing is that people are more engaged now in making solutions and getting solutions. And again, I just applaud the work we're doing. So
Thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. At this time, the Continuum of Care will receive public comments. I'd like to ask the staff, did we receive any written public comments?
No written public comments.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a public comment at this time? You may address the Continuum of Care for items that are not on agenda. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. Are there any public comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. At this time, we're going to take action on consent items. We have the June 18th, 2025 Continuum of Care meeting minutes for approval. Marielle, can you please tell us if we have a quorum?
Yes, we have quorum.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion from members of the Continuum of Care. Do I have a motion to approve the June 18 minutes?
Wayne Harris, so moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Michelle Davis, the City of Riverside.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Any abstentions or objections?
Angelina Cole, I abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Hearing no other comments, the item passes. Let's go ahead and move on. New business. We have another update from the Spark program. Teresa Ruiz Lorenzo from the Public Defender's Office. We're excited to hear you. You have the floor.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Ruiz, and I'm with the Law Offices of the Public Defender, part of the Spark unit. Good to see you all. And I guess we'll get started. Next slide, please. Today, we want to talk about our unit and the work that we do out in the community, the direct services that we provide to our youth. Our mission is centralized around preventing youth from touching the juvenile justice system. And the way that we intend to do that is by establishing, utilizing coordination of community services, such as everyone in this space, by providing early resources to juveniles. We want to reduce reoffending. We want to promote favorable outcomes in the courtrooms. And we strive to promote stable connections through education and behavioral health services within the community by promoting outreach and helping youth, families, and other community partners. Next slide, please.
All right, I'm the Deputy Public Defender, Geneva Valenzuela, and I'm also a Spark Resources Attorney. I work alongside Teresa in the Southwest region. And here we have a slide just demonstrating our different teams. We are throughout Riverside County. We have our Riverside-based team, our Southwest team, and our Coachella Valley team. Countywide, we do have our one supervising attorney, and we do have a countywide paralegal as well. I'm ready for the next slide. So real quickly, Sparks Legal Services, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go back actually, just to note, every team has a deputy public defender and a social services practitioner. And that's because, just like the previous presenter was talking about, really finding that holistic approach to the client and realizing that this youth needs more than one way to move forward. So having both the attorney and the social services practitioner help them every step of the way is very, very helpful. And thank you for putting back the previous slide, and I'm ready for the next, I think, this time. All right, so our legal services at a glance, and this is really at a glance. We will really do whatever we need to do. But for the most part, we are busy with special education, support and advocacy, school discipline. That is a huge one, especially keeping our kids in school. That is our goal. We want them to have an education and be at their home school and have that stability. School placement, connections to behavioral health, inland regional center support and advocacy, foster care reentry, calendar add-ons and warrant recalls. We can help with that. Ceilings and expungement, and legal consultation. So a lot of time our youth may be facing things that go into family law, things that maybe they've been in a car accident. How is that going to affect them? Maybe they're not at fault, maybe they are at fault. So really just a holistic approach, and having an attorney to be able to talk about an issue spot, the very different things that they're going through. Referrals to legal service providers. Again, as an attorney, we're affiliated with a lot of local bar associations. We have worked in the area, being able to point them to who they need to talk to. And then the last one, and I think this is one of the most, I have a few slides later, our training for youth, parent and community members and agency partners and CBOs. We do very specialized training. So that could be a 1-hour presentation on special education, an hour-long presentation on school discipline, and how your office can perhaps be an advocate for that youth or that family. We've done it for Thrive program, which is for foster youth, and we do a Know Your Rights. We can make it very fun and interactive, where we have basically like a true or false, and we make it very, question and answer, but we adapt our presentation to our audience. So if you have a youth group, or if you know of somebody who could benefit from that, please let us know. There's no groups too small or too large for us. We will do presentations on any level that you guys need. If there's an area specific to you, or just an area in general that you guys would like to learn more about, please let us know. And I'm ready for the next slide.
Thank you, Janae. And the social workers services at a glance, the support that we provide any type of youth that we encountered, such as former foster youth, we can support them with re-entry as well as housing resources. We assist with transition planning, assist with getting vital documents or getting them connected to benefits if they need that support as well. If they need resources for employment or vocational training programs, we can assist with that as well. Court-ordered requirements, we refer our clients to those services. We connect them to any CDOs and collaborate with school districts, agency partners, and anyone countywide that they might need support from. Next slide, please.
So who can we help? Spark can help two different categories. We can have our immediate public defender clients. There's no issue there. We can help them. We can attend IEPs. We can attend our school disciplinary hearings. And then we also have TAY youth, so our transitional age youth, 16 through 25. Our grant allows us to help non-public defender clients, which means as long as there's not a conflict, we are a law firm, so we do have to make sure that we've done a conflict check and make sure that they're not on any other case. But if there's no conflict, this youth does not need to have an open case for us to provide services. We cannot provide direct services, but I have spent 45 minutes to 6 hours preparing families for upcoming hearings for school discipline matters. So we will put in the time, we will make sure that that family is either connected to someone or they themselves feel very comfortable in knowing what they need to do. But we can help both of those areas. And that's not just in the legal services, that's also for the social services as well. So those two different categories. And I'm ready for the next slide.
So
Go ahead.
we also have contracted with RUHS, and we are also at the TAY centers in every region of the county. We're at Stepping Stones in Riverside. We are at the TAY Arena in Paris and at the Desert Flow in La Quinta. Next slide, please. And how can anyone refer to us? Anyone can refer to us, whether it's a community-based organization or the youth themselves. We have a form that will be provided to everyone. It should be completed in its entirety, so that way we can have the point of contact that we can reach out to. And like Janae said, make sure that we do our due diligence and run any type of conflict checks. And then if it is sent to us through email, it could be sent to either of those emails that are here on this slide. And then we will reach out to the member ourselves. Next slide, please.
This is I'm calling it a quick slide. I know it looks very busy and there's a lot of information here. I'm not going to cover it all, but I wanted to just give this as an opportunity to show you one area where we have school discipline and special education. This is a slide that we've taken from one of our presentations for that topic. But we go over just the timelines and how quickly things turn around. So oftentimes for our youth, there's this incident on school grounds, and they're within 5 days, the school needs to have a meeting to either continue to suspend the student or expulsion, or they readmit the student. So things happen very quickly. And with the law AB 740, council is supposed to get notification of any upcoming meetings. That doesn't always happen, but if we train you, and if you have a group that can be trained, these are things that we can discuss. We can discuss, special education. They have greater protections, and going through what the school needs to do to ensure that the students' rights are not violated. So this is just one of those slides. Again, I'm not going to review it all. I'd love to, but this is not the time for that. But this is an opportunity just to see things that we can review. I'm ready for the next slide. Thank you. These are additional education resources. Again, when I do other presentations, this is very, very helpful. With the continuum of care, I wanted to make sure that at least you guys had an opportunity to see the different educational resources that are out there for your youth, for your families. These are oftentimes places where I can refer families to, or we work with these agencies, or they're just different resources that we also have. Inland County Legal Services, they have an education department. SELPA, if you know any families that are really struggling with navigating the special education atmosphere or environment, really start there. That gives them a guide to everything. There's whole documents on just IEP guides, how to. Disability Rights California is wonderful if you think that this youth does need to take a case to due process. Special Education Rights and Responsibilities, that particular website is it's a living document, so they always keep it updated, so you can't just download it. It is updated all the time, but it is a resource, again, for families if you have questions. And it's done in a Q&A format, so it's very usable, very friendly, and in multiple languages. And then lastly, there's the ACLU Education Equity Team. She is on a short-term grant, but if there's anybody who's experiencing education and immigration issues, I would highly suggest reaching out to her independently. And I am ready for the next slide. This is red cards. I know that there's been a lot more discussion about this lately, but I did want to give it to you all at the Continuum of Care just to make sure that you had access to it. This is a QR code to the website for ILRC. There's also their link below. I don't know if you can link it though in this particular area, but you'll have the QR code so you can have access to everything that you can download in the different languages, and then you can pass that on to whatever families that need that support. And I'm ready for the next slide.
And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, we are always open to receiving any type of communication, whether it's through the email that is here or our contact that will be included in the chat. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Any questions or comments? Greg Snow, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Teresa, I have a question for you. Have you had the opportunity to talk with or meet from any of our staff with the Aspire group or hire any of those representatives with CFLC?
Aspire hire. Yes, it sounds familiar.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. I don't have anybody from those departments with us on the call today because I know I've shared your information. I just want to make sure because, oh boy, we got a lot of 16 to 24-year-olds in both of those programs. And another one that's fresh coming up with YEI. So
Yeah.
with the Department of Rehabilitation, Okay, thank you.
Good seeing you, Greg.
Anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Okay, we're gonna 5.2, the governance charter and HMIS charter addendum. Marielle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the governance charter. So let me know when you all can see that.
We can see it.
Perfect. So at the last COC meeting, I know Ms. Sully presented on this charter and the changes that were made. So really briefly, I'll just scroll through those changes just as a refresher. Updates to the dates, becoming a member, voting rights, maintaining membership, and letters of support policy. And then we also added the delegated authority and good neighbor policy. So all of these changes were made throughout the charter, mostly updates on the dates. And then after the meeting, I believe she had reached out and said that if any additional changes wanted to be made, they could be. And we did receive one, and it was an update to the miscellaneous items, just to reference to the HMIS charter. So it's here on page 12. And other than that, there were no other changes. So for now, I guess we can open up the floor to questions, or if anything, we can move on to the voting.
Mary, can you remind me? I want to make sure I'm not deal mixing. As part of this, what Greg was talking about that we're incorporating into the governance charter as well because of the integrated service delivery, or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
If there were none, I'll go back to the slides and pass it back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, so I just want to make sure there's no questions or comments before we move to action. At this time, there's a recommended motion to, or what we're being asked is to approve the updated governance charter, which includes approving the HMIS charter addendum. Do I have a motion to approve?
City of Riverside, Michelle Davis, motion to approve.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Do I have a second?
Angelina Felcher from the Storm, second.
Thank you, Angelina. Do I have any abstentions or objections? Hearing none, the item passes. Yay for the good neighbor policy. Woo woo. I'm so excited. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to agenda item 5.3, encampment resolution response policies and procedures. Miss Emma, you are up. Emma, are you there? Miss Tanya, do you want to jump in?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. During our last Continuum of Care meeting, we spent some time talking about our county encampment response protocols. And I think at this point, we wanted to make sure that we made ourselves available to answer any questions that you may have. I think some of the brief highlights around the county's protocols, which we're hoping the Continuum of Care, all of you can adopt as a best practice and tool moving forward, is that we recognize the importance of working together in a coordinated way and using a centralized model in responding to homeless encampments, and making sure that when calls for service or specific request is made to service an area that we are providing an opportunity to all of your teams to engage with the residents first. And in many cases, we will do that over a period of time. Best case scenario, we will have several weeks, oftentimes several months, to engage with residents in a specific encampment, which we define as 3 people or more who may be living in tents or other makeshift structures. But ultimately, there are situations which our protocols speak to where we recognize that specific encampments may need to be cleared due to environmental hazards, especially during emergency response, as we spoke to earlier, whenever there's flooding, fire, etc. And to that end, again, we are working, and our protocols speak to our process of working collectively together with whether it's law enforcement, flood control, as well as our county park teams and other city teams that are designated or in charge of patrolling that area. During the presentation last week, I think one of the biggest pieces that we wanted to recognize is that our protocols speak to ultimately providing residents with a 72-hour notices for those instances that I just spoke to when we need to have individuals relocate. And that has been a standard of care that I am proud to say that we've implemented, I would say, for certainly the last 5+ years, probably longer. And you may recall that in the last 6 to 8 weeks, the governor's office released an encampment ordinance that talked about some of these same procedures. And I think in their model ordinance, they were recommending a 48-hour notice. So again, just speaking to that, in Riverside County, we actually give more notice, and our protocols very much align with the governor's model ordinance and making sure that we use a centralized model, that we're going out and engaging people at the encampments well ahead of time and facilitating connections to housing as soon as we become aware.
Tanya, can I just stop right there? I just want to make
Yes.
sure so that everybody understands, because
Yes.
I think some of the words that you said are important. It's
Sure.
not an overlay overriding local land use control by local government. It's a model ordinance that local jurisdictions can choose to use, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a model ordinance, and we're asking well, I should say the state has developed a model ordinance for regions to consider adopting. At this time, the county has not taken on the position of adopting an encampment ordinance. Instead, we have developed protocols. So I thank you, Karen, for that. Protocols that speak to a best practice model in how we respond to encampments. And the protocols that were emailed to you and that are included in the Google Docs link that I know we dropped in the chat box earlier and was included in the announcement that went out, again, provides an overview of what that process has looked like. The county is very much interested in adopting and formalizing these protocols or policies and procedures. But before doing so, wanted to make sure that the Riverside County Continuum of Care, all of you had a chance to provide feedback before doing so, because, and I'll use the words of our director, Heidi Marshall, because we recognize that It is your teams who are on the front lines, that are on the ground, that are with us when we're going out to the riverbed to respond to these various service requests. So we wanted your input. And I know during the last meeting we had a lengthier discussion on this topic, but I just want to provide some background information, given that today we are asking for, of course, first, any additional feedback if folks would like to provide us with additional commentary or suggestions. And then, of course, two, request a motion from the Continuum of Care to adopt these policies and procedure as a best practice model that will then be retained and made available for other jurisdictions, cities, to also be able to reference and utilize as they also respond to encampments in their region. Thank you.
Tanya, and we'll open it up to the floor. Another thought came to my mind that I just wanted to ask that might bring some clarity. Do you also see, because Continuum of Care does release funds that provides support for encampment response? It could be the state encampment resolution funding, or even when outreach teams are involved, or there's a lot of different pieces that could be involved with funding support. Do you envision this best practice to be attached to funds that are released through the Continuum of Care so that we can see uniform implementation of this model?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, are there other questions or comments? And I wanted to make that distinction because a lot of our Continuum of Care members are representatives of nonprofit organizations. So it sounds like these are policies that could be used for funding, as opposed to local governments that may have encampment ordinances that are typically adopted by cities, as well as the county could adopt in the unincorporated areas. So I hope that that helps to, am I saying it right, Tanya? Just want to make sure everyone's understanding the distinction.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so do we have any questions or comments for Ms. Tanya? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the encampment response policies and procedures, which is a model that we can use to do a great job working together to respond to encampments across the region. Do I have a motion? Come on, you guys, don't be quiet.
Hey, Karen, this is Chris over at Path of Life. Motion to approve the encampment response policies.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Charles, the Mercy House. I second that motion.
Thank you, Pastor Charles. Do I have any abstentions or objections? Hearing none, the item passes. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. Okay.
Thank you.
Can we go ahead and move on to the next agenda item? HAP, agenda 5.4, HAP 6, community meeting discussion. Amy, you are up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and hello, Riverside County COC. My name is Amy Primrose Puente. I'm a senior program specialist with the Office of Homeless Services. Thank you for being here today for our community meeting on the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, HAP, round 6 regional application. Today, during today's meeting, we will be reviewing the Regional Homeless Action Plan that was developed during our round 5 application process. This plan will serve as the foundation for our current HAP round 6 application, while also allowing us to make adjustments where needed based on what we've learned and what the data and the community are telling us. This review process is critical to ensuring that the voices of our community, especially those most directly impacted by homelessness, are heard, reflected in the strategies that we put forward. So together, we're going to work to shape a more responsive and effective approach to addressing homelessness in Riverside County. Once we review the homeless action plan, we'll provide an opportunity to give feedback, and we'll provide 3 options. That we can, at the end, we can raise our hand and you can provide verbal feedback. You can write it in the chat, or we also are going to provide a feedback form in the chat to provide feedback as well. So next slide, please. So the intent of round 6 funding is to reflect the state's priorities to prevent and expeditiously reduce unsheltered homelessness through homelessness prevention activities and sustaining existing interim housing solutions and permanent housing solutions, including long-term sustainability of affordable, permanent, supportive housing. Next slide, please. So the funding allocations, the city of Riverside, $10,354,725.71. And I should add, for those of you that don't know, this is a regional application. So there's three parts. So we have the city of Riverside, the county of Riverside, and then the Riverside County Continuum of Care. So the County of Riverside will receive $4,848,492.04. And the Riverside County Continuum of Care will receive $5,178,272.86. So with Greg's announcements of budget cuts, this is a blessing for us here in Riverside County. Next slide, please. So the regionally coordinated action plan applicants, which are the city, the county, and the COC, must submit a regional coordinated homeless action plan that fully complies with the state of California. In developing our HAP6 regionally coordinated homeless action plan, regions should build upon their approved HAP5 regionally coordinated action plan, and that's what we're going to review today. Is our homeless action plan that we developed in HAP round 5. And you'll see when we get there that the benchmark dates are out to 2027. So it will be a carryover into the HAP6 application. The application deadline is August 29th, 2025. Next slide, please. Okay, and so here's our homeless action plan. The homeless action plan is comprised of system performance measures, that the state of California has developed to measure success. And so we'll go through each one, and at the end there will be, the 3 opportunities to provide feedback. So the system performance 1A, the number of people accessing services who are experiencing homelessness. The measure was 11,824 individuals currently accessing services at the time of this application. The key action that we said that we would do to successfully reach our measurement method is that we would increase the number of people accessing services who are experiencing homelessness by 10%. Through increased outreach strategies, including housing navigation and outreach staff within the coordinated entry system. The success measurement method is a 10% increase in the number of people accessing services, and we track this via HMIS. The benchmark date is June 30th, 2027. So as of to date, HMIS data shows that we have already seen a 9% increase in the number of people accessing services. So we are well on our way to reaching this benchmark. So that's very exciting. Next slide, please. Okay. 1B, the number of people experiencing unsheltered homelessness on a single night. The measure was 1,665 individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness, according to 2023 PIT count. The key action would be reduce the number of people experiencing homelessness by funding county-wide street outreach teams to connect to connect individuals to housing services. The success measurement method is a 10% reduction in unsheltered homelessness. Again, that's tracked PIT count data. Benchmark date is June 30th, 2027. And as of to date, the point in time data shows that we have seen a 19% reduction in unsheltered homelessness. So we are really looking good on this performance metric. Next slide, please. Okay, number of people accessing services who are experiencing homelessness for the first time. The measure was 6,951 individuals experiencing homelessness for the first time. Our key action is to reduce the number of persons who become homeless for the first time by investing in homelessness prevention and diversion strategy programs, focusing on employment, mental health, and substance use disorder services. The success measurement method is a reduction in first-time homelessness tracked via HMIS data. And we are still working towards this metric. Next slide, please. Okay, and system performance measure 4, average length of time people experienced homelessness while accessing services. The measure was 107 days, and the key action is regularly analyze data to monitor program duration for individuals with poor credit and justice-involved backgrounds, aiming to reduce the average of duration of homelessness. The success measurement method is a reduction in average duration tracked via HMIS data analysis. The benchmark is June 30th, 2027. As of to date, data shows that there has been a 9% reduction in average duration. So that's another metric that we are doing exceptionally well in. Next slide, please. Okay, performance measure number 5. The percent of people who return to homelessness within 6 months of exiting to permanent housing, the measure is 8%. The key action is increased housing and behavioral health, mental health, substance use disorder services, and housing supports for people experiencing unsheltered homelessness through cross-departmental, cross-sector supports by collaborating with Riverside University Health Systems and the CalAIM initiative. The success measurement method is a reduction in returns to homelessness, again to via HMIS data. This benchmark is March 31st, 2027. As of to date, the data shows that we have seen a 2% decrease from the prior year. So we're looking good there too, making progress. Next slide, please. Okay, performance measure number 6, the number of people with successful placements from street outreach projects. So the measure 582 individuals. The key action to strengthen street outreach by increasing the number of successful housing placements through coordinated outreach teams across all 5 supervisorial districts. The success measurement method is an increase in successful housing placements tracked via HMIS. The benchmark date is June 30th, 2027. As of to date, to help this metric, we have implemented a HAP-funded project that many of you are aware of called the Pathways to Home project, which is a closed loop referral system within the CES that makes housing resources readily available to our street outreach and shelter providers. So with that, we're hoping to see some more success with this metric. Next slide, please. Now, the performance measure 7.1a, racial and ethnic disparities among those accessing services. The measure, it's data. So let's see, for white, we have 68% of service users versus 68% of homeless population, so slightly lower access. For Black, we have 15% of service users versus 15% of homeless population, so we see a higher need there. For Native Hawaiian and Asian, 1% each aligned with 1% population share. American Indian, Alaskan Native, we see 2% versus a 3%, which is a slight underrepresentation. And then multiracial, 3% versus 11% unsheltered, significant underrepresentation there. The key action is to develop a racial equity impact assessment to forecast and assess the impacts of new programs and funding decisions to address disparities, particularly for multiracial individuals. The success method is an increased service access for underrepresented groups tracked via HMIS dashboards. Benchmark date, June 30th, 2027. As of to date, and I'm sure you're all aware that our wonderful HMIS team has created a racial and ethnic disparities report, and the data shows that service access is equitable here in Riverside County, and the team is currently conducting another racial and equity analysis and are seeing similar trends. The updated report will be published within the next month or so. So keep an eye out for that. And I believe Salam is going to add our racial and disparities report into the chat. So if anyone is unfamiliar with it, please check it out. It's really very cool. We have an awesome data team. Next slide, please.
We might get you in trouble. Okay. But because he had a shut off notice in it.
All right, so we have 7.1b, racial and ethnic disparities among those experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So let's see, for the data, we have white, 51% of total population versus 68% of homeless population. Black, we have 6% of population versus 15% of homeless population, which is an overrepresentation. Other groups not fully specified due to truncation. Key action, utilize HMIS to create public-facing dashboards to monitor racial inequities in unsheltered homelessness, focusing on overrepresented groups like Black individuals. Success measurement method, the reduction in disparities for overrepresented groups tracked HMIS and PIT count data. The benchmark date is June 30th, 2027. Next slide, please. And system performance measure 7.4 is racial and ethnic disparities in average length of time homeless. The measure is multiracial, which is 145 days, which is the highest. And then we have Black individuals at 118 days. So the key action here is regularly analyze data to monitor and reduce the duration of homelessness for Black and multiracial individuals through targeted housing navigation and CES prioritization. The success measurement method is a reduction in average duration for Black and multiracial groups tracked via HMIS data, benchmark date June 30th, 2027. And the last couple, the racial and ethnic disparities are all being, the metrics are all being met through the racial and ethnic disparities report that our wonderful HMIS team has created. So let's see, 7.4, next slide, please. Racial and ethnic disparities in returns to homelessness. The measure, American Indian, Alaskan Native, 12%, which is the highest return rate. Excuse me. Other groups show lower rates not fully specified. The key action is provide behavioral health, mental health, substance use disorder services, and housing supports for individuals moving into permanent housing, collaborating with Riverside University Health Systems and CalAIM to reduce returns, particularly for American Indian, Alaskan Native individuals. The success measurement method for this metric is a reduction in return rates tracked via HMIS data. Next slide, please. And that concludes the system performance measures that make up our homeless action plan. So like I said, this application period is a continuation of our round 5. So in the performance metrics that were identified in round 5, As you can see by the benchmark dates, aren't, the benchmark dates aren't until 2027. So we would like, many of the metrics are working. We're making progress. We've already succeeded in many of them. So we're looking really good, but this is an opportunity now for the community to provide feedback. So if you heard any metrics that you have a great idea for, hey, I think I have a great idea for, increasing your placements from street outreach, please provide us with that feedback so that we can create the best system that we possibly can with our HAP dollars. We're going to provide 3, like I said, you can raise your hand if you have any immediate feedback, and you can provide it verbally. You feel free to write it in the chat, or there is a feedback form, I'm hoping is in the chat. Let's see.
It is.
It is, thank you. So this is a Google form, so just click on it, provide your feedback, and return it to us. We need to have all the feedback received back by Friday, August 1st, 2025. So I will take community feedback now. If anybody has any immediate thoughts, ideas.
Before, Amy, you take the feedback, I do want to include, I just emailed you over our application for HAP Round 5 that includes all of the detailed information. If you can just add it to the Google Drive so that the community has access to that application.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Roshana.
Mm-hmm.
As the Continuum of Care is considering what you said about feedback, I just want to make sure, just to clarify, so this homeless action plan covers the 3 distinct buckets of HAP money, which is inclusive of the city of Riverside, the Continuum of Care, and the county. Is that correct? They're all,
yes, ma'am.
All coordinated and integrated. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have questions or comments? And also,
I just wanted.
Go ahead, Tanya. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that it is always our goal to upload all of the supporting documents for the meetings well ahead of time. And while that is certainly a goal, sometimes, unfortunately, due to the high demand of this work, that is not always feasible. So I think we received some someone inquiring about the slides. Know that we will make sure to send those out and also include those in the Google Doc. But to that, I also wanted to say that these aren't due to the state today. So as Amy said, we very much want your feedback. The application is due to head towards the end of August. So we have 4 weeks and are happy to schedule time with any of the stakeholders on this call, whether it's in a group setting or in an individual setting, to review these with you on a more personal level. Know that we are absolutely open to that. We were just cutting it really close as we were preparing prepared the presentation this week. So again, please accept our apologies, and but know that we have time and we want to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Comments, questions? I think it's a good word picture, Tanya. Sometimes we're all flying the plane while we're building it, right? There's just so many things happening. Also, if you didn't notice, Susan had a good question in the chat when the plan was developed, and you'll see that Roshana talked about when the Continuum of Care worked together on developing that plan. So do go ahead and take note of the chat. Any other questions or comments? I see we're close to the hour, and how many more items do we have? Oh, we got lots of slides. We're going to have to rock and roll fast. Oh, Michelle, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just a quick response. Amy, thank you for the great presentation on HAP 6. We will be taking, the city and the county have to have an MOU that the city is collaborating with the county on their regional homelessness action plan. So we'll be taking that to our council on August 19th. So the community will see that staff report. It will be a discussion item. So there'll be an additional opportunity for the community to provide feedback at that time as well. So thank you, everyone.
Okay. Next agenda item. We're going to see how fast we can go. We're going to go really super fast. Our standing items. Okay, Emma, you're up.
Yes, thank you. Just a very quick update on our HUD COC Continuum of Care NOFO. Next slide, please. So we wanted to share, and just for informational purposes for those who aren't familiar with HUD COC funding, HUD manages the Housing and Urban Development, the federal department, manages the Continuum of Care program funding process. And they do this by releasing a NOFO or a Notice of Funding Opportunity when funding is available. And through this competitive process, COCs across the country are able to apply for federal funds to support housing and supportive services for individuals experiencing homelessness. So the Riverside COC evaluates local projects and ranks applications based on HUD and community priorities and submits a consolidated application for funding consideration. And that has been the process to date. So although Congress authorized a 2-year COC program NOFO in fiscal year 24, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has indicated that it intends to publish a NOFO for fiscal year 25 program competition. And really, no additional details have been released at this time. And so, there is a lot of unknown, and we wanted to just make sure that everyone was aware that we are following this and that we will be providing updates once they become available to us and we have greater direction and clarity about, what applications are going to look like in the fall. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to email Catherine Wormley. She is the project manager for the HUD COC programs. But again, just an update, and we will provide you with more information as it becomes available to us. And that is the end of my updates. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Okay. Let's move on to coordinated entry update. Lucy, you are up.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to go over the data and trends we saw in the month of June. Next slide. And next slide. Okay, so in the month of June, regarding Home Connect calls specifically, there were about 2,050 phone calls. Out of those 2,050, 282 of them resulted in diversion. So our staff supported with providing resources to prevent homelessness or eviction, while there was 139 of the calls were screened and linked to the coordinated entry system. Of those screened, we have a little graph here. 32 were families, 2 identified as veterans, 21 were of ages 55 plus, and 10 were of transitional aged youth, while the remaining phone calls were either out of county callers, and they were then redirected to the appropriate county's contact or general inquiries, such as updates on their process within CES or who their workers, etc. And between the month of May to June, 116 members were removed from the queue, exiting into permanent placements, whether it be through rental by client with or without subsidy, or staying permanently with friends or family. Next slide. At the end of June, accounted for roughly 874 members on the community queue. When looking at the cities with the highest numbers of residents on the queue, there's a consistent drop between the May and June months. So Riverside saw a decrease of 8%, Indio saw a decrease of 2%, and Palm Springs experienced a 19% decline of those on the queue. CES does project these numbers in these cities, at least specifically, and all around to continue to reduce due to the number of district-specific openings coming up and the number of referrals that are being requested from our partners countywide. CS has referred 66 households last month to housing opportunities, 41 of which were connected to permanent supportive housing opportunities. and 25 to rapid rehousing opportunities. Next slide. We are collaborating roughly with 5 agencies a month to designate a CES trainee for CES to train. That way CES step-by-step trainings are becoming and will become more accessible to each agency. If you're currently part of an agency in need of training until we reach this goal, please reach out to myself or our Home Connect email to give a more formal request. And we've also identified some patterns of error in data, and we are working with agencies and HMIS to train in running data quality reports and ensuring that data is accurately being depicted in clarity, and ensuring visibility among the COC to reduce lapse of services. We've also asked HMIS to provide, at least on our Tuesday CS partnership meetings, a monthly 5 to 10 minute training to our partners. So that way they'll be more accessible to our partners countywide. Next slide. So we are requesting agencies to present. We're currently scheduling for the last leg of the 2025 year. So if you are part of an agency or aware of any resources that are either mid-county specific, justice involved specific, or agencies that are offering rental assistance or what have you, please let me know either in the chat or reach out to me directly so I can reach out to them and have them present at our meetings. Next slide. And we're always looking for feedback on what agencies would like to see, our partners would like to see within CES in order to address the needs and to run the coordinated entry system a bit more efficiently. So feel free again to reach out to myself or to our Home Connect for any feedback or recommendations. Last slide, I believe. Yes, so if you have any questions for anyone specifically within our admin team, myself, John Horn, or Monique, the emails are provided on the screen for you. Other than that, that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. Informational items. You can see that the committee reports are available. No letters of support this month or APRs for you to review. Let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. Any requests for agenda items for the next meeting? Okay, next slide. At this time, we can take announcements if anybody has any announcements.
Hello, this is Valeria. I had one announcement for the multidisciplinary approaches to ending homelessness webinar. I just wanted to take the time to invite our community partners to our upcoming webinar. We're going to be having Lucy, actually, who just shared on the CES, joining us to present informational webinar on understanding the coordinated entry system. So this session will cover key topics, including what is the coordinated entry system, how it works, who can access it, the roles and responsibilities of both partners and clients. This will be on Wednesday, August 6th. From 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I'm going to quickly just share my email and the COC email in the chat. And if you guys would like to receive an invite to that webinar, just please email us or let us know and we'll get that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, next slide. Okay, you guys, 4 minutes over, not bad. I think the next slide has the list of the future Continuum of Care meetings. Just want to thank you all for hanging in there and participating. And to the presenters and the county staff, this was a lot. It was a great, very educational meeting. I just want to thank everybody for working so hard to make Riverside County a better place for the people that we serve. So I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Go out there and continue to transform lives. Oh, did we have a question?
No, I was trying to give you a thumbs up and a thank you for letting Spark be a part of this. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone.